Peekaboo, and welcome back to Stormy Cabby Travels. First off, I'd just like to go ahead and touch base on my subscribers. I have 82 so far, and that's way more than I ever thought. So I just would like to say thank you so much. I truly appreciate every single one of you for liking, sharing, commenting, viewing. Any of it truly helps me to go ahead and get into the algorithm. So before we get started, this is Tennessee and North Carolina. This was my trip back in December of 2025, and I really had no intention of making content for this, but let's go ahead and get started. So in 1886, the hotel was actually erected in this area, but by 1932, the resort was purchased, and by 1933, there was a pool construction that had finished. So in this first little stop right here, it talks about the resort and how it was built, and they modernized the Idaho Springs Hotel, which doubled the size of the lake and built most of the concrete and stone structures at the cave entrance that you will see. Swimming pool and bathhouse was constructed, replacing an earlier swimming area in the lake. The pool served the community for almost 40 years before closing in the early 1970s. Lack of attendance and aging mechanical systems forced it to close. So it might be closed, but it does serve as the visitor center now for the Cave State Park. So whenever you go there, you will see that. And that's what my photos reflected, is what it does look like today. So as you're walking, there are some little signs. I figured I'd go ahead and read them for you because I can't read that on my vlog unless it's not moving and I zoom in. So I'm going to go ahead and read it out loud for you guys. So fun little fact. This area of wetlands and lake was used by Mississippian people to grow crops. A companion planting style was used, and you might be wondering what that is. It's a combo of corn, beans, and squash. Corn removes a large amount of nitrogen from the soil. Beans help to replace it. Beans use the corn as a playground, so they just climb all over the corn. Just imagine little kids just climbing all over a playground. I bet that's what it looks like. Squash has spiraling vines, which improves soil moisture and helps prevent weed growth. Y'all might be picking up some of these little facts here for your garden, you know. This is smart. This is also referred as the Three Sisters Garden. So if you're ever wanting to look this up on your own and kind of go about your own self, then go ahead and look that up. The Three Sisters Garden is what it's called. Ever heard of Roy Acuff? He was the king of country music, as he was considered. His band was named the Smoky Mountain Boys, and in 1948 he purchased Dunbar Cave Resort, putting his own spin of a 1,300-seat arena in front of the cave. Grand Ole Opry stars actually performed here on Sundays. Along with that, they would also have square dances in front of the cave on Tuesday and Friday nights, with popular music dances on Saturdays. So honestly, back in the day, this place was really poppin' and a great place to be and have a lot of fun. His whole plan was to open a country music park, but instead he did that. Also, fun little fact, he actually ran for governor as well in 1948 in Tennessee. A hotel was erected in 1886 to provide overnight accommodation to guests attending the dances and other social activities at the cave. Some guests booked a room for the entire summer season. The hotel was located 100 yards from the cave on the right side of the hill as you looked out from the entrance of the cave. This hotel burned in 1890, and they built a second one, and that one actually burned in 1892. So due to the many renovations and changes to the landscape, the exact location of the hotel is actually unknown. In 1879, Charles P. Warfield and Joshua M. Royce purchased Dunbar Cave to turn it into a resort. Regular dances, social gatherings, and cave tours were a mainstay of the operation. To finance the construction of a hotel, lots were sold for the purpose of building summer cottages. In the late 19th century, this hillside would have been covered with these simple one-room buildings intended for families to have a place to sleep. Prior to and during the Civil War, this property was part of a large plantation owned by John N. Baker. He enslaved many people and had an overseer living in a house at the cave. The cave itself was used for storing agricultural products. And in a time Far before there was resorts and hotels on this land, there was an important African American community with Civil War origins. In February 1862, the U.S. Army's capture of Clarksville prompted many enslaved African Americans to self-liberate and seek refuge with the federal garrison at Fort Broof. It quickly became a haven for many of them, and by July 1864, 2,000 of them sought protection at the Union camp. In 1864, the military governor Andrew Johnson extended the provisions, which raised the population by 4,000. And by the end of the year, a portion of the refugee population had established a small village that whites called Africana Town. Many of those families, being part of the United States colored troops, built a first step of freedom here. The Freedmen's Bureau ended the military refuge camp in 1865, but Africana Town remained active until 1867. By 1872, the village was gone and the landscape was soon developed in the first resort at Dunbar Cave. But most importantly, Africana Town represents the power of community making and the persistent voice and agency of recently emancipated African American citizens. And on the photo off to the right, that is Adam and Hannah Watkins. And entering into the last part of our history time, hogs were often slaughtered at the mouth of the cave and meat stored inside, along with corn, oats, and tobacco as well. This was during 1785 until 1864, when more than 100 African Americans were enslaved at the plantation that included Dunbar Cave. This was a place of work for these people. The constant cool temperature of the chamber provided the refrigeration needed to keep food longer. For some of you who don't know, a lot of times caves can be at least below 60 degrees, a minimum of 60 degrees. So it's a good time to be able to keep that whenever you have no refrigeration back in the day. John Barker was the plantation owner. He built a house near the mouth of the cave that he called the Cave House, likely for a hired overseer to supervise work that took place here. In the cave, at its mouth, and in the rich stream bottom where the lake and wetland is today, work took place here year-round. So just kind of like imagine that as you walk around if you ever go here. There is no record of enslaved workers exploring the cave, but it was very likely that they did. It was really cool down in there, so that's a reprieve from being out in the field. A church was built in early 19th century near the cave, which was later used by the enslaved population. When Dunbar Cave became a resort after emancipation, it's very likely that African Americans served as cave guides. This was very common back in the day. During the late 1870s, Dunbar Cave was a segregated, privately owned resort and tourist attraction. Even though African Americans had lived and worked here for nearly a century, during segregation, they were only permitted at Dunbar Cave as workers. Which, side note, I gotta say, that's just complete and utter bull. I don't understand why we can't just treat each other the way that we are. We're all just made of the same material. And greed controls so many things. Side note, I'm sorry, but really, all of these people should have been allowed to do as they wanted back in the day. But I'm really glad that Tennessee desegregated in 1964, but at that time the resort was abandoned not long after that. So after they were finally given equal access to Dunbar Cave, it did become a Tennessee state park in 1973. So that is a positive note, and hopefully we continue going on in a more positive direction. And here we are. The entrance to the Bat Cave. Always find entrances to caves so very interesting. And they always smell interesting too. 1st of May, end of September. Oh. Look, I told you it was Bat Cave, Batman's cave. Look, it's got Batman on it. So I just want to speak for a second because that was not my friend that was whispering. I know you could hear him a little bit beforehand, but he did not walk up to the gate with me. So I really caught something on recording that was not me or my friend. I had to go ahead and state this because I didn't even know that that was in there until I was editing this video right here with my bestie, and she said, "Oh my God, what is that?" And I said, "What is what?" And she's like, "You don't hear the whisper?" And I said, "What whisper?" So then I had to record it, I had to rewind, and I was like, "Oh my God, it's a fucking UV!" So y'all let me know what you hear because I have a really hard time making it out. I feel like he's saying something like cave. I don't know. But that was really cool to catch on recording. I have always wanted to catch like something like that on recording. So, hope you guys enjoy the rest of the video. Oh, and also let me know below like what y'all think. And don't forget to like, subscribe, and comment and share. Thank you guys. It's a light up circle. Okay, it is a light up circle. It's not a chameleon. Dun 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 dun. Welcome to the Airbnb review. I'm sure y'all been waiting for this, okay? Now, I'd have to give this place a 10 out of 10. Not only did they have the extra pillows and blankets, which I don't know why, a lot of Airbnbs will provide you with some extra stuff, but not that way. Those closets were amazing. The bathroom was amazing. And that bed, oh my gosh. Ugh, that bed was great, okay? If you stay at cabins, then you know what I mean. Because normally the beds are just hard as rocks and it's just is not comfortable to sleep on. Not only was everything made out of wood, you could literally smell the fresh smell of wood. It was just amazing. And the fireplace with the tree, it was just top tier, such a vibe. The couches were comfortable. You could see the mountains out of the living room window while you were washing dishes. You could see the mountains through the kitchen. It was beautiful, gorgeous. Those lights on the background with the lights on the inside of the hot tub, chef's kiss, okay? Literally helped make all of it come together. I think if the light curtain wasn't in the background, I wouldn't feel so complete. It just made it such a vibe to hang out at night, hanging out, listening to the nature if you want to, or turning on some jams. And if you got too hot, you just popped yourself up like a guacamole. And the chairs right there too. Literally would recommend this place to anybody. We went, me and my bestie that you saw in there, we went as a healing trip for ourselves, and top 10 would recommend this place as healing. And also, it's got some mystical stuff there because I feel like we saw a UFO because there was some lights reflecting up on the clouds up on the very top, and it looked exactly like a replica of the city down below. Now, so maybe that was a cloud refraction or reflection because the lights were so strong, it was reflecting that way. But none of my pictures that I took literally can attain to what I was speaking of, but it literally looked like a UFO. Like, I'm not even playing. So I would definitely recommend this place. The swings and everything was amazing. And we're about to have some ASMR come up because it actually did snow while we were there. So enjoy these next few seconds of the snow falling. Ready, set, boom, mountains. And we got the little hot tub over here, and then there's lights all around. I should have got a video of it at night, but I have pictures of it at night. And we have these cool swings. I fell asleep in that motherfucker. Matt fell asleep on the floor right there. And then we come over here. We have all this cute littleness. And then we have another mountain that's over there. And we got an owl. And then we got a deer. And this is like the front part of it. This is welcome. It's just so fucking cute. It's been a vibe.